If you are in perimenopause and things that you used to do just aren't working anymore, don't worry, it's not just you because that started very, very early for me in like my early 30s. And you're not just imagining it, to be quite honest. It is very real. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mandy Moves. I'm Mandy, and today I've got a great video for you. We're going to be talking about how stress can absolutely derail your fitness goals in perimenopause. So buckle up, grab some popcorn. It's going to be a little bit of a long one, but I'm looking forward to talking to you about all things stress and perimenopause. So let's first talk about why stress hits harder in perimenopause. I think that's really hard for some of us to understand. Slash, like, we look at our moms, are like, what was wrong with them as we were teenagers and growing up? I feel like my mom was pretty even keeled. I was the crazy teenager. But I've heard other stories of women who were struggling as they were going through their 40s. And all of a sudden I hit 33 and I'm like, what is going on? Nothing is working anymore. And I'm like, oh, it's just life stress. Of course. Like, I had a new job. I had just gotten remarried like a year or two before that. The kids are getting older. Their activities are ramping up. But the truth is that it's kind of everything at this time of life. Um, a lot of times in our 40s, our careers are ramping up, or maybe we're going back to work because we've been at home for a minute. On top of all of that, during perimenopause, your hormones will start to fluctuate. Your progesterone, your testosterone, and your estrogen, you're going to have all different numbers while you're going through your cycle, not the normal peaks and flows like you used to have. You're going to have things dropping when they shouldn't be and going up when they shouldn't be. And your body is just like on an absolute roller coaster, and you don't know why you want your husband to just jump you while not touching you at the same time. If you have ever felt that way, please like this video because there are several days of the month that I actually feel. But back to the hormones. The truth is those hormones actually help to regulate our sleep. They regulate our metabolism. So if you're feeling a little fluffy, you're not digesting and you're not using the fuel that you're eating the same way that you used to. They also affect your recovery and your stress response. And the truth is like, we're also getting to that time of life where there are a lot of just different things happening. I'll tell you like a little story time over Christmas. So already, number one, a very stressful time. My grandmother and aunt passed away. Two other very stressful things. Their funeral, I live in California, their funeral was in Alabama. So my family and I, or my family, my mom, my dad, my brother, and I flew out to Alabama for the funeral. Travel, another stressful thing. I know every single time I fly, I blow up like a balloon. On the way out there, my ex's mom, who is sick, couldn't have the kids over at their house because my son broke a fever. They're calling me trying to figure out what should we do because no one was at home because my husband was working. We had to find someone to come and stay at the house with my kids while I was flying on a plane from Dallas to Birmingham, and my husband was working since he's a fire captain. He sometimes works 24-hour shifts. Normally he's on an administrative duty, but he happened to be working overtime because the kids were supposed to be there with their dad and I was supposed to be in Alabama. So no one was going to be home. So he decided, oh, hey, let's work overtime. So it was a very, very stressful event. I lost hair. I blew up like a balloon, and I could not recover. I was just tired for weeks. My immune system was down for weeks. It was literally not until the beginning of February that I started feeling like myself again. It impacted me so much that when my estrogen numbers had been normal, I went into estrogen dominance and my hormones got completely out of whack. So then my cycle became unpredictable, and trying to figure out, okay, when is it coming? Is it coming? Is it spotting? What am I doing? What is going on? With my husband, I hate you, I love you, like, don't touch me, please touch me, all the things. And I also just didn't have the recovery like I used to. Every single workout, I felt like I needed like 3 days to recover from it. After that, I also had problems concentrating at work. So my school put me in charge of creating an AI policy and in charge of that committee. Heading that committee shouldn't have been as hard as it was. Technically opened a can of worms, but nothing that I can't handle. But my brain was just not concentrating. Things that should have been fairly quick for me to just sit down and do would take me hours because I would have a very hard time just sitting and concentrating and getting that one thing done. So my cortisol was shooting absolutely through the roof at that point. And it's, as I alluded to earlier, it started to affect my workouts as well. And I want you ladies to understand that cortisol is not a bad hormone. We raise our cortisol every single time that we work out. Dr. Stacy Sims talks about how cortisol is necessary for our survival. We have cortisol for a reason. Like, we initially in the morning have a cortisol spike just to get ourselves moving and out of bed. And it's supposed to calm itself after you eat something. That's why she says that you should eat something within the first 30 minutes to an hour of you getting out of bed. But when your adrenals are completely stressed out, you may not be able to get your cortisol back down the way that you should, hence why your recovery would take longer.
And it is a stress. People forget that when you're exercising, you're putting your body under stress, and we get fitter from the recovery. So when we're looking at the peri and postmenopausal post-exercise responses, we want to invoke a stress during exercise that's going to have a positive response in those adaptations, like an increase in growth hormone, increase in testosterone, which then over time reduce cortisol so we don't have as much cortisol peak and trough.
And high stress can just lead to a whole slew of things. I have a list here: slower recovery from workouts, difficulty building muscle. I for sure experienced this. My muscle building has been super duper slow. Increased fat storage, especially around the midsection. I'm completely struggling with this right now. Sleep disruption, that one affects me as well. Blood sugar instability. My insulin is way up, therefore my blood sugars have been all over the place. Inflammation, I literally just talked about that a minute ago. Increased cravings, I don't necessarily have that, but if you're like someone who deals with their stress by eating, this is going to get worse for you. Low energy and burnout. So you might be doing all the right things, but your body doesn't feel supported enough to respond the way that it should, maybe the way that it did in your 20s or early 30s. But that stress that your body is under and you're not able to come down off of it, it's just wreaks havoc on all sorts of systems in your body. So what do you look for when it comes to stress in perimenopause? Like, what are some things that you can look out for? I have a whole list of them here for you. Poor sleep or waking up frequently, feeling tired but wired, difficulty recovering from workouts, increased anxiety or irritability. I randomly developed a fear of flying, which I've never had a fear of flying in my entire life, but all of a sudden I have a fear of flying and I struggle to strap myself to a tin can and hurtle myself thousands of miles across the United States. I don't let it completely overwhelm me, but I do struggle with flying and actually heights a lot more now. Brain fog, joint aches and inflammation. All of a sudden I have knee pain. I've never had knee pain in my life, and all of a sudden, like, my knees are swollen all the time. Weight gain around the abdomen, fatigue that doesn't improve with rest, sugar cravings or energy crashes, hot flashes or night sweats becoming worse or during stressful periods. So if you have two or more of those things happening at the same time, it might be a sign that your body is stressed out, your cortisol is high, and that your adrenals may even be burned out. So when it comes to fitness specifically, how do you know that your body is stressed out? Well, I've got a couple of ways for you to know that as well. So here are some things that you might notice. Workouts that used to feel manageable are now absolutely exhausting. Maybe you have strength plateaus or decreases. Your motivation drops. Now, this one at the same time, like, motivation will never always be there, but you should be somewhat motivated. But I can get into discipline in another video. Motivation, it's not always going to stay. Soreness that lasts longer than it should, and injuries that happen more easily. So, and a lot of times we just think, oh, well, I will just exercise more just to get over this hump. And the truth is that you should not be doing that. You should be doing things that are more restorative during this time of your life. You need more support, you need more recovery, and you need more balance. One of the biggest game changers for me when dealing with stress, especially when it comes to my fitness, is realizing that midlife fitness is not all about stress. It is exercise a good stress on your body? Yes, but it has to be timed correctly, especially in this time of life. So, what are some small changes that you can make, especially if you are in a stressful period of life? We all go through them, ladies. Give yourself a break. But here are some things that you can do to try and mitigate that a little bit. Number one is strength training. Girls, work on building your muscle. The more muscle you have, the more regulated your hormones will be. Like, this is a non negotiable. If you have never picked up a weight before, don't worry. Like, you guys can totally do it. Start with body weight and just get the movements down. But strength training over cardio. Remember, cardio can be, I don't know, is the word carnivorous? It could eat away at your muscles, whereas strength training will actually build up those muscles and it actually lets you eat a little bit more, which is really nice. Walking regularly to help regulate your nervous system. Improve your sleep routines. Make sure that your evening routine is dialed in, whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that you actually are doing everything that you need to get the proper amount of sleep and the proper quality of sleep. That is essential, almost more than working out. Actually, I venture to say not almost more. It is more than working out. If you need to, supporting your hormones with medical guidance. I can't tell you how thankful I am that I found my naturopathic practitioner. I will have her information in the description box and pinned in the top comment. But you can also look for companies like MIDI Health or something like that. My health provider, she can only work with people in California. MIDI Health is nationwide. So please make sure that you are looking um, for that assistance if your current OB is not working with you and not willing to give you hormone support. A little side note, I had been looking for some sort of support. I didn't even know what I needed. I knew I just needed something in my early 30s. And no one would give me any sort of help because I was in my early 30s. Well, the truth is, I started perimenopause as early as like age 32, 33, but no one would listen to me until I finally found Lita at like the age of 38, where my cycles were completely out of whack. And we kind of got things in line, and they are shortening every single month right now. I think I'm getting towards the end. But if even if you're on the younger side, don't take no for an answer. Find a provider that will test your hormones, spend time with you, and work with you. If they're not spending at least half an hour having a conversation with you about how you're feeling and how things are going, then you do not have the right provider. And a caveat to this, I am not a doctor. I am not a nutritionist. I am almost a um, a certified personal trainer, but I am not yet. So this is full disclosure. I'm just a girl who has literally spent years trying to figure out what works for my body and to find someone who would help me work with my body. And I just want to share the information with anyone and everyone that will listen because I know the hell that I went through to get the assistance that I needed. And so to encourage you and give you the information, that is all that I'm here for. Adding mobility and recovery days is essential for this time period of life. Reducing unnecessary stress when possible. Like, ladies, I don't know what it is that you need to do, whether it's getting out of a bad relationship, whether it's possibly going to counseling, whatever it is that you need to do to reduce stress in your life, please make sure that you are doing it. Sometimes part of the stress is just figuring out, you might not even know what's stressing you out. So figuring out what it is that stresses you out, like take time, write it down. Actually, writing things down is very therapeutic. I think it is underrated. And I'm not talking like type it in your phone if you really want to, but the actual act of writing, like physically writing with a pencil or a pen on paper, can be very, very soothing. And a lot of times people are more honest when they do that. And it makes things more permanent or more real. So I highly encourage you, if you are really struggling with figuring out what stressors you have in your life, write them down on a piece of paper. And then from there, you can actually look at your list and figure out what it is that what you can do to reduce stress. Now, if you're averse to pencil and paper and you're like, I just want to do it now, take notes in your phone, do something like that, and figure out what the stresses are in your life and what can and cannot be eliminated and what you can do about them. You also need to know that consistency is not about pushing through. And I want you to remember that just because you're like, no, I need to be consistent. Consistency one week might not look the same as the next week. And I'll give you an example of that. This week, was a fairly stressful week. A good stress, like there was fun stress. My husband's pipes and drums band played in Savannah, Georgia, in their parade. If you've never been to that parade, it's very, very fun. I highly suggest that you go. Um, but there was travel to get from California out to there, so that was a stressor, not one I could avoid unless I just didn't want to go with him, and I did not want to go with him. Then from there, we did all that. I unplugged from work, and then coming home, you come home to your real life. And so then you have back to school night for my son's high school. We've got all of these different things going on, registering my daughter for her summer intensive that she qualified for. There's all this stuff that you come home and you're like, oh, yeah, real life is back here waiting for me while recovering from the partying while we are out in Georgia, plus the plane flight home. Like my body was stressed out. I got in one workout while I was out there, but I had planned ahead for it. If you're a planner, I highly suggest that you planning your week of workouts is essential. Know what it is that you're doing for your week and plan ahead. It takes so much stress off of you because you know what you're doing and you're not guessing. Guessing can be very, very stressful. So I knew that I could do one, maybe two workouts while I was in Savannah. I looked up what the hotel's gym actually looked like and what equipment they had. So I knew exactly what I had to work with. I got in one hit workout while I was there. That was it. And so I looked at the rest of my workouts that my app had planned for the week. Right now, I'm currently using Haley Happens Fitness. I think it's Power Happens 1.0 or something like that. Um, and I looked at my week of workouts and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be able to do um, work at the beginning of the week. I can try and do an upper body workout while I was there, but all I did was a hit workout while I was there. And that was okay. And I had to be okay with that because it's just what I could do. We got a lot of walking in while we were there, which was great, but I got in one hit workout. And then I came home and I made sure that I made time for it while I was here at home. You might notice that I am not in my house right now. I'm in a hotel room in Anaheim for a dance convention for my daughter. And so I knew I was going to have to make time to make a video while I was here. It is what it is. And they have a nice gym here, but I was able to get in a couple of workouts at home. Literally, like I was only home Thursday and Friday this week. Today is Saturday that I'm filming. I got workouts in during that time period, and that was it. I've got in a lower body and then a lower body and an upper body. And that's it for the week. And I had to let go of my I had to let go of planning the perfect workout week. It is what it is. I got in what I could get in. Next week will be different. It just is what it is. And be okay with letting go and knowing that, hey, you did the best that you could. And then you're going to plan the next week and you just kind of pick up where you left off. No harm, no foul. This is not just one big perfect routine. It's built by layers of support: movement, recovery, nutrition, sleep, hormone support, stress regulation. All of these different layers work together in the body so that way the body feels safer and you can feel as supported as possible. Bottom line, ladies, if you are in perimenopause and you feel like your body is working against you, number one, you are not alone. Number two, that's just kind of the name of the game right now. And you need to do a little bit more work to make sure that you are supporting it the way that you should be. Your body is not failing you. It just needs a different kind of support. Maybe for you to pay attention a little more to yourself and making you number one versus everyone else. Remember, when you're on an airplane, you have to put on your mask before you can help anyone else because if you're passed out, you cannot help anyone else. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I'm Mandy. This is Mandy Moves Fit in the Chaos. I hope you guys all have a beautiful week and I will see you in the next one. Bye.